Aha! I have finally reached the 100 videos. And it's taken me a little over 2 years to do it because there's been some hold-ups and some can't be bothered along the way. But here I am, 100 videos. A humble thanks for those of you who've been here for most of this 2 years and listened to me waffle on, and a generous thanks to people who've joined along the way. I have many, many more to come. I was looking in my notes thing on my iPad the other day. I think I've got about 300-ish videos or 300-ish recipes that I'm going to have a go at to become videos. Whether they become videos or not is whatever. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for keeping turning up. And if you haven't done so already, can you press the button underneath the video and subscribe? Glad to have you along the journey for the future. So what is today? What am I going to do for 100th video? So I was looking through previous videos and I'm going to go for one of my greatest hits, the Saag Paneer, a spinach and cheese curry. It's a classic North Indian recipe. It's unlike the ones you will see in most restaurants who use spinach puree and very much shorter cooking times. I don't like saag paneer. I don't like saag much at all in a lot of restaurants. I think it is a bit sloppy and it's a bit puree and hasn't got the depth of flavour as a long cooked traditional North Indian dish. Having said that, last time I did this, it was about 4 hours. So I have cut some corners and tried to shave off a little bit of time here and there and everywhere. So this is down to about 2 hours, just over 2 hours, which I think is okay. 4 hours is a large investment in anybody's day, but 2 hours, if you're in the mood, it's good. It's a really, really beautiful dish, and off we go. Let's get on with it. Hello there. So this is an unusual board of goodness today. Not in the sense of there being stuff on the board, because there obviously is. But what I'm going to be doing is, as I go along, I'm going to be trying to see if I can cut a corner or two or change one thing or two from a very traditional recipe into, because this normally would take about 4 hours or so from what I've seen in the past. And I want to cut that right down on 2 hours max, I think. So board of goodness stuff, but I'm not going to give you amounts until look in the description field on the video and I'll put in the actual amounts I used in there. But so for the purposes of today's board, we've got a bunch of baby spinach, quite a lot of that. We've got a bunch of stuff that I found at the local Asian supermarket, fresh, more mature spinach. I'll pull out some of the horrible leaves of there. Obviously we're going to have garlic, obviously we're going to have onions. Saag paneer has to have paneer. I'm going to use butter ghee. If you wanted to keep this vegan, I would go with the vegetarian ghee. I'm not, I've got the butter ghee in the fridge. I'm going to have a thumb-sized bit of ginger. I'm going to have some methi, or fenugreek, as some people might call it. And spice-wise, it's not a really complicated dish. Probably going to put in some turmeric, definitely some Kashmiri chili powder, definitely a bit of cumin, and towards the end, plenty of garam masala. But other than that, I think I'm not going to go mental on the spice board. So let's get on with it. Let's see where we go. So I have washed my fresh, mature spinach very well and took almost all of the stalks off, because the stalks can be quite bitter. So yeah, actually there's a little bit of stray stalk. A little bit of stray stalk. So I wasn't perfect on the de-stalking front. So there we are. Right. And then when that's melted down a bit, I'll be adding the bags of baby spinach. Essentially, the traditional recipe that I watched my mother-in-law do many years ago, this boils for ages. Simmers for ages, not boils for ages, but it goes in water for ages to get it right down. I'm not going to do it for ages. I think I'm going to try half an hour. Think it's probably going to be 45 minutes, and then this starts frying then. Right, let's kick off with that. In about 2-3 minutes time, I'll be adding that. So that's melting in nicely. I've just added half a teaspoon of salt. You don't need much at this stage. Saag can eat salt, so you've got to be really careful so you don't put too much in and then end up with a really salty dish just because part way through the cooking process it goes, I'm not very salty. So, right, there's all my baby spinach and all my mature spinach. And so, I'm going to keep stirring that, but we'll start with half an hour of simmering. I shall probably put it on my little burner in the corner for the half an hour once this has got up to full heat. Right, half an hour, let's see we go. Right, halfway through cooking this in the corner here, the spinach, I added a handful of dried fenugreek or methi. If you can find fresh fenugreek methi, it's much, much better, but a handful, a decent handful, carrying on. This is gone for about half an hour or so, I think another 15 or 20 minutes. Onions, the tadka, the oniony sauce is the base of all curries, kicking off in here. This is going to take about 50 minutes and going to be a decent shade of brown. That is the core of curries, in fact. Right, off we go, 50 minutes. And there we are, the onions in a dark state. You can take them darker if you are fearless. I'm not. That's probably about as dark as I can take it. This is not the darkness you would see in a lot of restaurant curries. This is the darkness you see in a lot of North Indian home curries. Could go darker, there's still little bits of white in there, but I'm going to puree this up in a bit anyway, so I'm not that fussed. But people ask me how to do this, and essentially for 50 minutes you take the onions to the point of, oh, it's just about to burn, and you add a little bit of water and take it down a little bit, and then take it up to, oh, it's just about to burn, and then take it down a bit. Never let it burn, because burnt onions taste bleh. But darkened onions like this taste very, very rich. So, we're on to the next stage. I'm going to add a de-seeded tomato. So take all the mush out of the middle of the tomato and add it to your dish. This isn't going to take very long. Another corner I cooked was I minced up the chillies, the garlic, and the, what else is in there? Oh, the ginger. Yes, the ginger. So I've cut a corner there. So where are we up to at the moment? Spinach and fenugreek have been boiling for about an hour. This has been going for 50 minutes. You can do them concurrently rather than waiting for one to finish. So let's say we are a little over an hour into our dish. Not bad so far. Right, so let's cook this for 2 or 3 minutes before adding the other stuff. Right, it's tomato starting to cook nicely. Let's have a wee taste of this. Have a little bit. Oh my word. Oh. On God's good earth, that is one of the finest tastes known to mankind. Darkly browned onions. So it's this richness. Oh, God, I can't really describe it other than onions on speed. Onions on some sort of drugs anyway. But yes, whoa. Oh. Right. I'm going to add in my minced garlic, chillies and ginger. Don't normally mince them, but I'm cutting a little bit of a corner today. I like things cooked low and slow. There are some things that are definitely quick and easy and dirty, and I love those as well. But when I'm in the kitchen really creating something, I like low and slow. Whether that be soups and stews or curries, often low and slow is better. The only thing I will say is by boiling your spinach for such a long time, it does lose a little bit of nutrients. So if you're talking to a nutritionist, they would say, oh, you never cook it that long. And they're right, absolutely right. You would not cook it that long. But for this dish, low and slow and starting to break up, yes, you do.
Right, let's give that 2 or 3 minutes. Now that is looking really rather splendiferous and smelling like heaven in a bowl, heaven in a pan, heaven in a frying pan, some sort of heaven in some sort of pan. Right, I'm going to go in with my half a teaspoon of turmeric, half a teaspoon of cumin, and half a teaspoon of chilli. I'm going to put a tiny bit more than half, 3/4 of a teaspoon of chilli. Right, I'm going to fry these off for a minute or two. Right, I am going to add a little bit of water. And what I'm going to do now is what I do as a regular corner cutter. I use my hand blender to turn this into a paste. Makes it easier to cook the rest of a curry because you've got the base gravy, I guess. I don't like base gravies very much, but this is it's a tadka. It's a tadka. It's the sauce. So turn that down and get this in. I'm not going to make you watch it, so back in a second. So you start to see the tadka taking shape, looking more like a regular curry base, only quite a dark one this time. So I'm not going to go mental, we could completely puree this. And I think that's about right. So bear with me a second. So we're now going to bring the spinach back into a stirring roll on the main hob and relegate the tadka, the sauce, to a supporting roll for exactly 10 seconds, because the supporting roll I wanted to play now is this is going to stop being a boiled bit of spinach and it's going to use the oil in the tadka with the onions to become a fried bit of spinach. So now we change boil to fried. Now this is probably going to take another hour. Again, some days I've taken 2 hours to do this. I'm going to see how we get on with 1 hour. I'm going to turn the heat up. I'm going to use the oil in there. I'm going to get rid of all this liquid at the side. See, I do not like a sloppy saag. I like a really dry saag. So we're going to try and get rid of almost all of that liquid and get it down to being a nice dry saag. A lot of restaurants will do you a really sloppy, gooey saag and they use pureed spinach. I will not puree this spinach. I like it as it is. I like the fact that for an hour it was broken down a bit, but not to a puree. So it looks like spinach. I still want my dish to look like spinach, not like baby food. Right, anyway, this is going to start with half an hour. So let me show you what this is going to look like for the next half an hour to an hour. Now everything's all come up to boil. You're essentially stirring it and frying it until the liquid goes. You can see the liquid starting to gather there. So that's going to go. Just keep stirring, keep lowering the liquid. This all starts to get really rich as the liquid disappears. Keep tasting it, keep checking the salt, but don't go mad with the salt. As I said earlier in the video, this spinach can eat salt. It has a little munch on salt. It goes, oh, I'll have some of that. And then later on in the dish, it goes, oh, right, there's all the salt you put in. Ah! And it tastes like crap. So keep an eye on it. Don't go mad with the salt. We will be putting garam masala in at some point, but that's kind of about it. And the paneer, obviously, put the paneer in, I don't know, 15 minutes or so before the end. Right, I said this is the first half an hour, didn't I? So we're 10 minutes into the first half an hour. So let's come back in 20 minutes. So we are well on the way of reducing that liquid down. I'm now going to add the chopped up paneer in little cubes. Now here's another little corner cut. Normally I would fry the paneer. That's mainly because I would be cooking this for at least another hour. And that little bit of a fry on the edge of the paneer allows them to not melt completely into the sauce. But we're not going to be cooking this for that long. So I'm going to put them in just as they are, as I've cut them up. and they will soften really nicely over the next few minutes, just to the point of melting. And oh, a nice piece of softened, melting paneer. Oh, oh. Right. Give that a few minutes. We're still reducing liquid, so I'll stir that for a few minutes. Let's have a little taste. Oh, that's lovely. But it is time for your garam masala. And I'm going to put in a good teaspoon of garam masala in there. Garam masala, if you didn't know, is a spice concocted of a number of other spices. And in a way of blending, you can put it in near to the end without worrying about having too many uncooked spices in your dish and making you go to the toilet a lot in the morning. So there's my garam masala. This is starting to look really nice and dry. Oh, another few minutes of that. I think we're perfection. Now that is looking really beautiful. If when you taste your saag at this point, there's a little bit bitter, pop in half a teaspoon of sugar. I don't personally like to, but if it's bitter, then I'll do that. What I will do is add a good tablespoon of normal butter rather than ghee butter, because that adds a sort of right to the end. And this, my friends, is ready. This is not a restauranty dish. This is more of a North Indian traditional home-cooked type dish. A lot of vegetarians up in North India. I think Sikhs traditionally are supposed to all be vegetarian, but you know, that's open to interpretation with the original each person. So whichever, whatever, who cares? But this is a great curry. I'm going to serve that with some roti, chapatis. I could make them, but it's a bit of a pain in the arse, a bit of a faff. Flour gets everywhere, and I just buy them in these packets. These are quite good. Elephant is the brand name, and then I just warm them up over an open flame or on my tawa, which is one of these. Oops, one of these. I heat that up and over an open flame. Tawas are really good for chapatis. Saves burning yourself on the open flame. Anyway, that is done. I am really happy with that. Let's just have a final wee taste. Oh my word. Oh my word. That is good. Right, finished. Next time, 100th video. Hundreds more to come. Bye.